This question is one of the Department of Education past papers for revision. So we are just going to look at the given information. We are given two functions here, which is f of x and g of x. Looking at the function g of x, it is equals to 2 exponent x plus q. And looking at f of x, it is equals to log x base half. So the function f of x cut the x-axis at point A and also cut the line y equals to q at point B, where the x value of the coordinate B, it is half, and the y value, it is q. So going straight to the question asked, we are required to determine the coordinates of A, which is the x-intercept of f. So looking at that, we can rewrite our equation of f like y equals to log x base half. And to find the x-intercept, we need to let our y equals to 0. And to write our x as the subject of the formula, since we are looking for the unknown, which is x now, our x, it is going to be equals to the base, which is half, raised to the exponent 0, and then our x value, it is going to be equals to 1, meaning that the coordinates of A, where our x equals to 1, the y value, it is equals to 0. So now let's go to the second question. On the second question, you can see that we need to determine the domain of f. So looking at the function f of x, you can notice that the function doesn't cut or touch the line x equals to 0, which is the y-axis, and it doesn't cross that line, which means it is not appearing on the negative x values. So our domain, it is x greater than 0. This is the answer for number 2. And then now let's go to number 3. Going to number 3, we need to determine the equation of the inverse of f in the form y equals 2. So to determine the inverse of f, we need to rewrite f of x as y equals to log x base half. After rewriting that, we need to interchange x and y. Where we see y, we are going to say x because we want to find the inverse, and then log y base half. And then from here, we need to make y the subject of the formula, and then our y, it is going to be equals to base half raised to the exponent x, and then this is the function which is the inverse of f. Then we are done. So let's go straight to number 4, where we need to sketch the graph of the inverse. Indicate on your graph the intercept with the axis and the coordinates of one other point on the graph. So to do that, I will just draw my graph here on this one. Looking at the function y equals to half raised to the exponent x, you can notice that this is an exponential. But looking at the base, since it is half, which means the shape of your function, it is going to be like this. And then where does this function is going to cut the y-axis? So which means it is where the x equals to 0. If you put 0 in space of x, you are going to see that your function, it is going to cut the y-axis where y equals to 1. So which means the function, in terms of the shape, it is supposed to be looking like this. And then at the same time, it is going to cut where our y value, it is equals to 1. And then this is the function that is going to be your inverse of f. And then from there, they said you need to indicate one other point beside the intercept. So to find one other point, you need to know the x value or the y value. So it's up to you what you decide to put there as a point. So if you choose to put -2 as the x value, which means you will go to your equation and say your x value, it is going to be -2, and then which means your y value, it is going to be 4. The point that you are going to put there, it's going to be -2:4. It's up to you which x value you choose, and then the result, which is the y value, then we are going to pay it and put it in the function, which means we have -2:4. You need to write it there on the equation that you have drawn, or the function that you have drawn. So now let's go to number 5. we need to determine the equation of the asymptote of g. So the asymptote of g of x, we need to find what is the value of q. Looking at point B on this equation, which is f, we can notice that this equation cuts the line y equals to q at point B. So to find the y value, which is q, we need to substitute the x value that we already know in the function of f. So we are going to go to the function of f and substitute half up there. After substituting half on the function, this is the function which was f of x. After substituting half in the space of x, we are just going to get that the q value, it is equals to 1. So if q equals to 1, then which means our asymptote, the equation of the asymptote is going to be y equals to 1. Then we are done. And then let's go to the last question, where we have to describe in words the transformation of g to the inverse of the function f. So looking at the function g, if I may write the equation of g at x, it is equals to 2 to the exponent x plus 1. And then looking at the function which is the inverse, we said the inverse, it is equals to half exponent x. Both of them, they are exponential equations. So to transform g to the function which is the inverse of f, you need to reduce g by 1 unit. That's the first thing that has been happened on the function of g of x. The transformation, it has been reduced with 1 unit, which means subtract 1 in g. When we are subtracting 1, we are just going to remain with 2 to the exponent x. And then now what we are going to do, you need to reflect the function g of x about the y-axis, which means two things has been happened here. It has been reduced with 1 unit and then reflected across the y-axis. Those are the explanation in words, and then we are done. Thank you.